For March the 17th, 2023, we talk about Wo Long Fallen Dynasty, Betrayal at Club Low, the Resident Evil 4 Chainsaw demo, and much more. Welcome to level 451. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm David Mysmith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Rocking another 3-style today. We were going to have Dennis in. I hope I'm not violating his privacy here. He got real sick with possibly food poisoning, he said. So everybody wish Dennis a happy recovery. Or,
good luck, Dennis.
Or rip to him. Who knows how things are going to go. So it's the three of us.
Yay.
Yeah. David, what's going on?
Not a whole heck of a lot, just kind of bobbing and weaving, dealing with the realization that time is an illusion that's just a social construct.
Yep. At least we're on the positive cutting side of that right now.
I sometimes think about this podcast like when you think of it over the course of the years, and this is like this is the eventuality is like the slow mental decline of all the people who are doing the podcast,
which is weird because I'm doing way better than I was like 8 years ago.
I mean, I find that all things are different, and there are good sides and bad sides to everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, other than recognizing that time is a sham, got anything going? How's your craft stuff doing?
Pretty good. I'm learning to do some foam crafting, so making like faux armor and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting, something completely different than anything I've done before. So that's kind of a neat, different, changing things up. And then I think that's about it. I'm kind of in between projects, honestly. Going to start really getting ready for what I want to do for Dragon Con this year.
Nice.
So
yeah. Ben, how about you?
There were a lot of award shows over the weekend that I watched, so that's kind of how I spent my time. There's the Streamer Awards was on Saturday for Twitch streamers.
Okay,
it's kind of like an unofficial award show that's given off. It was like the second time they've done it, and then the Academy Awards was on Sunday, so I watched that.
So it seemed like the Academy Awards was pretty good this time around. Like the things that probably should have won, and the things that shouldn't have won didn't.
So I was talking with a friend about it, and basically it's like the Academy Award is often very wrong with who they give awards to. So while they never, any year they should never be trusted to be the end all be all of like what was good, they could have done a lot worse this year than they did. They gave like pretty much everything to everything everywhere all at once, which is a great movie. So it was cool to see like the directors get attention on that and stuff. So I'm glad that they'll kind of have a blank check to do whatever they want with their next movie.
See, my big thing is I didn't want Top Gun to win.
Yeah.
Like War is Cool, the movie.
I was like that with Avatar, where it's like I don't like James Cameron.
Was there any chance that Avatar was going to win?
I think it was nominated for Best Picture, but it wasn't nominated for like director.
I thought they nominated good movies.
They doubled the size, so now there's a lot of stuff that gets into the Best Picture category. It's like 10 movies are nominated every year now. Top Gun was nominated, so
yeah. They're just trying to bring more people in on it. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
They had floated the idea of like having like a popcorn Best Picture or something like that one year, where it's like the same sort of thing, where it's like, what's the best like blockbuster or something like that. But It's a joke, man. The Academy Awards is a joke.
Yeah. It's, sometimes it confirms what you like. I mean, Everything Everywhere kind of feels like Parasite winning, not just because, featuring, people from Asia, people of Asian descent. It's just more like, oh yeah, like these are like neat, unusual things that are also like really digestible.
A good movie that's popular. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So like that feels like it's about what it ought closer to what they ought to be doing, right?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that Paul Thomas Anderson hasn't won an Academy Award is a damning enough piece of evidence, I think, of how good they are at awarding movies. So
yeah, the other one I heard that apparently people were pretty pumped about was RRR winning.
Yeah, one song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that movie was just made out of hatred for people with rhoticism. But
wait, what's rhoticism?
Inability to pronounce R.
I see. I don't know if I talked about this. I watched the first half of that movie with my friend, one of my old coworkers, like half a month ago or so. Yeah, that's a wild one. It's an interesting watch.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. I heard it's real good. But that's the story with most things that are, yeah.
I don't have a lot of context for like Bollywood, even though I don't think it's strictly that. But so I don't know how it ranks in the pantheon. But coming in fresh, it's a wild experience. So
no, the only moment that I saw was K Hui Kwan. Him getting his award, which was real sweet.
Short round from Indiana Jones.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Was not working for a very long time, and then comes back, his first role back in like 30 years, and wins an Oscar. It's real sweet.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Cool. And for me, just a bunch of getting ready for the Midwest Gaming Classic. Just lots of designing, getting the buttons and stuff ready, getting a new banner because it doesn't make basically ordering all new stuff because it doesn't make any sense now that we have the ability to do it to keep mailing the same shit back and forth across the country. Just Portland, Ohio, every time we do a show.
Where's this one at and when is it?
That's the one that's in Milwaukee. At the end of the month here.
Sweet.
The 31st through the 2nd, which is going to be a good time.
You just need to tell them to move it someplace more central.
Yeah, just that one spot in Kansas. Equidistant from everything. Although not really, because I imagine some places in Kansas are closer to that point than like Maine. Yeah. No. There's a retro game expo in Columbus here that I want to go check out. I do not know if it is big or not. I just saw like a Facebook thing for it. So who knows? That's coming up in May. We'll see.
I feel like this is probably both unfair and like an easy shot, but everything I hear about like the retro gaming community, I don't know.
What do you hear?
Just like lots of like elitism and gatekeeping and like,
all the games have high scores, so maybe it does breed that sort of behavior.
Well, I say more along the lines of like, oh, you're only a retro gamer if you like play exclusively Nintendo on CRTs.
I'm the closest that I ran into it outside of the people who have given us the most shit for that were like teens. Like, oh, you talk about PS2 games, so that's not retro. And it's like, go fuck yourself. But like the one time I got that from an old head was like this guy came up and asked, so what games do you talk about? And I was like, no, we listed off a few recent examples, and it's like, if it's not old, if it's not older than Donkey Kong, I'm not really that interested. I'm like, okay, cool. You didn't try and gatekeep us. My experience at these events has been very positive.
Yeah.
Like people of all ages just kind of generally being allowed to have a lot of fun, from what from what I have seen.
I'm not gonna lie, I would gain so much respect if you if you just decked a bratty, like, teenager.
I don't want to spend my life in jail.
Just make sure no one's looking.
In a crowded convention floor. Yeah.
Have you ever considered fighting a teenager, Kole?
No, I'm terrified of teenagers.
I thought you were going to say fighting, but yeah.
Either also
works.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks. So yeah, just lots and lots of Photoshop work and sending off stuff to printers, getting proofs back and saying, no, fix this. And then, just on and on. So happy to have that done. Just be waiting for stuff. And then we can just go, which is nice.
Side note, I have a question. I know you started watching The Last of Us, but this will be like one of the last times I mention it because they had the season finale this last week. How far are you?
Halfway through the season finale.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, you caught up real quick then.
Yeah. I had a couple of days where I had trouble getting to sleep, and so I just watched a bunch of it. That first night I watched when I texted you about it, I watched
like 3, right?
3, yeah, to get through. I wanted to get to the Frank and Bill episode, which was good.
So without spoiling anything, how do you like it?
Oh, it's great. Like I thought that. Going in, I was like, okay, I don't know, is a Last of Us TV show really necessary? Because the game is already so cinematic. Mm-hmm. And now I think, man, I like this story a lot more with all the game shit taken out.
All like the random fetch quest and like zombie fighting that you need to do.
Yeah. Just you drop into a room full of waist high walls, and some guys say, "There they are." And then just gets repetitious. Like just it has been refreshing to see kind of this world as derivative as it is. All that kind of condensed down. And I think the principal actors are all doing a really good job. So
I haven't watched any of this, but one thing I have gained a great deal of pleasure out of is just the fact that Pascal, it seems like in every image I see of him, like his two emotions are like abject like suffering and just being like the happiest person I've ever seen.
Which is weird because he has like a very expressive like Muppet face.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be very interested to see what happens with season 2.
I need to beat Last of Us Part 2 before that starts.
So, you do.
So I better get started now because that game's 1,000,000 hours long.
It's a big one. I hadn't realized that you hadn't finished that. So yeah.
No, I have not done that.
I'm really impressed that like they did one season, one game, like didn't try to pad it out or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Season 2 or part 2 is going to cover 2 seasons, I think they said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Like that game's probably twice as long as the first game. So
yeah. Yep. Cool. Well, I mean, we talked about it. So yeah, Last of Us TV show, good, thumbs up. Happy that we intersected on this one. I didn't wait like years. Yeah. No, so I'm halfway through. I just got to the part where the giraffes have taken over the town. Oh man. Cool. Well, I want to talk about video games, not just shows based on video games. So why don't we do the regular kind of show? What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss, and why don't we get started with the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. I am going to lead on this one, I think.
Ooh, combo breaker.
Combo breaker, because I've got something new.
Okay.
Nice.
Which is it's small, but I wanted to lead with it because I have played the Resident Evil 4 demo.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Twice, in fact.
I did. Were you tuned in for both of them?
I saw the end, I think, of the first one, and I saw the beginning and most of the middle of the second one, I think.
Gotcha.
So combined, I think I've seen one demo.
Yeah. I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah.
When it was initially announced, I was worried, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, Capcom knows how to do this. The previous remakes have been real good." Then I played Dead Space, and I was like, "Oh, is the
have remakes gone too far?"
Yeah, yeah. I just kind of had that there, and fired this up with some trepidation, and I'm no longer worried. In fact, I'm super excited for Friday when this when this comes out. Wow, is that demo really good?
Yeah. I will say Leon looks a little bit weird. He kind of looks like there's a German guy in the show Dark that he kind of looks like.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, I think it looks great.
Yeah. They're keeping, like, this is in the same continuity, and that's basically the same character model, or he's, continues to be modeled after the same guy from the RE2 remake that he was modeled after. So it is not he is kind of a softer faced version of Leon Kennedy. They have not aged him up.
But they haven't kept the mullet.
I never really had a mullet though. It was like curtains, had like the metal hair split kind of deal.
I do also feel like it's really weird to see Hunnigan not just through the telecom or whatever. You see like a full 3D version of her.
The codec view.
Yeah.
I mean, true Resident Evil loyalists will recognize. Well, we'll have seen her out of that out of the codec view in RE6. Please, Ben. Please.
I haven't gotten that far. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wait, you haven't played the best Resident Evil game?
I'm waiting to play it with Jala at some point, right? That's the initiation, right?
Yeah. Yep, that is. Yeah.
So
good.
Go on. No, I was just going to say my biggest concern here is is there still a sufficient emphasis on playing zombies?
Yeah. Their zombie suplex, drop kicks and stuff like that. That's there. And I mean, the demo ends with the "Where's everybody going?" bingo line. Which is, I mean, that's a great moment. So the demo goes from the beginning up through the big fight in the village. Where you're completely overwhelmed, and then the bell starts ringing, and then there's just a cutscene. People walk away. In the original version, it was pretty dry. Just it wasn't even done in a cutscene. It was just like the people just stopped attacking and then walked. In this one, it's a little bit
of a cutscene, right? Because it fades out into the title, I think.
Yeah. It kind of ends there. I don't know. I haven't seen like a shot by shot comparison, so I shouldn't speak so authoritatively on it. However, it's it is. You know what it is? There are so many more people in the fight.
Yeah,
that
it does seem more dense.
Yeah, that like all of them just kind of streaming past Leon like he doesn't exist. Just muttering in Spanish. Sadler summons us, we must come. Just walking right by him. It is super eerie.
The second demo you played where you jumped in like the back of the building and there were like 6 people in the building with you. It was like, ooh, this doesn't look good.
Yeah. So it doesn't control like RE4 does. It's, it plays, I mean, what it plays like is the RE2 demo, not the RE2 demo, the RE2 remake. Sorry.
Yeah.
It plays like that, and just a full 3D over the shoulder. You can kind of rotate your view as you would like to. I mean, even kind of similar to like RE6, but not as like fast as that one is. So you don't have the Leon, kind of points and then goes into like aiming arcade mode, kind of deal. It plays more like an over the shoulder, third person shooter kind of deal, which is fine. But you do lose a little bit of that kind of like classic RE4 rhythm. But what they've replaced it with is just, this is just a really good shooter, actually.
So is it no longer the emphasis on like shooting specific body parts?
That's there, and that is and that is helpful to do, because you also have the quick knife ability. Like that is still there. So like the differences are there, but they're extremely subtle. I think it is just, I think, to make the game feel much more modern, because classic RE4, you don't play it with two sticks is the thing. Classic RE4 feels super weird, and I just streamed it a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. Feels very strange because you are, kind of just moving with tank controls on the left stick. The right stick will maybe do like a quick look left or right, because it was supposed to be the C stick on the GameCube. Like that wasn't a stick meant for looking around, right? And then you stop to aim, and then you are aiming with your left stick as well. This just makes it feel more modern without actually giving up like the tension of the of the fights themselves. And boy, the demo does give you this really good kind of cross section of not slow combat, but like it basically takes you through the combat tutorial where Leon first encounters the Ganados. And then takes you up to like, all right, well, you like fighting these guys, huh? Well, how about 30 of them at once? Haha, in this village square. And also the chainsaw guy is out immediately. And the chainsaw guy, if you lead him around by certain things, he will chainsaw them and then alter the level geometry. So that route isn't available to you anymore as you are trying to stay ahead of these folks. Yeah. It gives you a pretty good sampling of what is, kind of the different valences of hectic that you can have like when you're playing it.
This demo is even called the Chainsaw demo, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Kind of continuing they've had the one-word titles for their demos for a while.
I really hope they bring back the chainsaw controller.
I don't know if they will, but I assure you somebody is going to retrofit one. Somebody's going to make one. Yeah.
Another difference I noticed in the remake versus the original is they spent more time to do detailed immolation of the police officer.
Oh, I mean, in the original, he was dead. He was dead when you showed up.
Yeah.
No, in this one, when you post up and look through the binoculars, no, that's when they light him on fire. Like it's so that is a thing. This is much more gory and just a more brutal. I think commensurate with the added fidelity that they're that they're capable of. RE4, when you go back to it, is a weirdly like bright and smooth game insofar as there is not a lot of visual detail on a lot of stuff. It's more about kind of conferring an atmosphere than it is than it is actually giving you a lot of like gory details. So like this is kind of getting in there, and I don't know. I've only played what amounts to like a 15-20 minute demo of this thing, but based on what I have seen, there's a real possibility that this could be scarier than the original, just by being gorier and by being kind of more in your face with it.
It's pretty awesome on their part that like the demo is like 1-to-1 with the original game, because I'm sure the remake's not going to have like every single level of the first one because it's way too big of a game.
Yeah,
but it's kind of a smart play on their part because it's like, well, this is 100% what it was like. So this is like, so it's hard to tell like what they'll cut out, or like how long the game will be. The actual remake.
I don't know, man. That approach to the village is cooler than it was in the original game. Like that. Forest Path was basically just a hallway with a couple of buildings. Like you pass through like a mini dungeon looking for the cops, and that's where you do your like kind of combat tutorial stuff.
Yeah.
Like they kind of, I don't know, like it's probably going to be a smaller game, but there's going to be a little bit more density of interest.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll have the QuickTime events too, or if they judiciously shorten those or cut them out.
I hope they do. If I have to do that one QTE where you're
stones chasing you, you're Indiana Jones and out of there.
That one's not so bad. It's when the minecart goes off the tracks and you have to press the button, the button to catch on the ledge.
I remember that stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah. I mean,
that said, they better not cut out the the lake monster one.
Oh,
that one better still be in there.
That has to still be there. I really hope they do. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, any questions about the RE4 demo? I mean, I know it's just a demo, but like, I don't know. It made a really big impression on me.
I not necessarily a question, but just kind of continuing a conversation that I started when you were streaming this is I know that they're releasing this for PSVR 2 as well, and like I'm starting to get really tempted to pick that up just because even though it's expensive, it seems like a cheaper VR option than other things.
Yeah. I think that in your position, the PSVR 2 makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you had, so just the Quest 2, like it's a good machine, but like to get the most value out of it, you want a really strong gaming PC.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know I'm not negging your rig, bro.
You can nig my rig, dude. It's 6 years old at this point.
Yeah, but just like the real value is you end up being able to buy stuff on sale on Steam, where it goes on sale much more frequently and to deeper discounts. Like the Quest Store is kind of a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I stream it over Wi-Fi just to the headset and play in my living room, right? Your rationale, which is I already have a PS5. This is $550 more, but that is compared to buying a
2K for Index plus new PC.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would basically be taking the same path into VR that I did. I bought a PSVR, the original one, first, and figured out that I liked it, and then got into got into something else. Got into the more involved stuff. A bunch of stuff is being ported, has been ported already. Over to PSVR 2, and you're going to get good stuff like the RE8 and the RE4. So if this backfires, I didn't tell you to do it. That's not the advice, but if it's good, then
this
it's
is not
advice
financial
that I gave
advice.
you. Yeah. No motorcycles after 3 p.m. Yeah.
Which is the one that has the cordless and all that stuff?
Oculus Quest.
Oculus,
yeah. Or Meta Quest or whatever.
Yeah. It's interesting comparing like the trade-offs of all the different VR systems where it's like, like Oculus, it's like you have to have a Facebook account to use it. And it's like, well, that's weird.
You don't anymore, actually.
Oh, really?
They got rid of that, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, it's like, so then there it's like the hardware is as good as what's in the headset. And so that's kind of hard to scale. Like you have to buy a new headset. You can't like upgrade a PC or something.
Yeah.
But if it's like PS, then you're console locked and then, you're at the mercy of whatever PlayStation releases. So.
Yeah, and the Index and the Vive, I think, are still like real hardware bound. Like you have to have sensors and stuff. Yeah, just you don't want to end up with a Betamax, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The other game I've been playing, this was another one I streamed, Choo-Choo Charles.
Oh yeah, that was great.
I even forgot that you had streamed it. That's how forgettable that game is to some capacity.
Yeah, it's like an A minus idea with like a C plus implementation, let's say. Not too crazy about Choo-Choo Charles. Ultimately, probably is kind of a meme game. So the setup is there is a monster train. There's a train monster that is also a spider, has like spider legs. It doesn't move by. Okay, it doesn't locomote by locomotion. It locomotes by spider legs, and
it's
is.
It's like
Wild
Wild West.
The defining trait of being a train.
Yes, I believe I made that exact same joke on or that exact same observation on stream, which is in what way is this a train if it does not bound to the tracks? But it's a monster train. He's real menacing. He's going around. He's killed most of the people on this island. You're playing this monster hunter who has been brought out to put down Choo-Choo Charles once and for all.
I like how you're describing this game with other game names, by the way.
Monster Hunter, yeah.
And was it Monster Train, right?
Yep. This is like an open world game. You have your own train engine that you ride around the island on. You're doing little quests, some for weapons, some for scrap to upgrade your train. You can upgrade like the speed, the armor, and the weapon damage that you do, and some which are the main quest, which is to go into these mines to collect the train eggs to destroy them at the central temple so that Choo-Choo Charles will be forced into a deadly battle with you, into a decisive battle. And when you are choo-chooing around the island, hoping that Charles isn't coming after you, and, you know, getting out to change the direction of the tracks at the junctions, and even like talking to the NPCs who are all real fucking weirdos. This is neat. You know, when Charles comes after you, you've got to you know, crank the train into full gear and then get on the turret in the back and hope that you do enough damage to him before he kills you. If you damage him enough, he runs away. My biggest problem with this, and what actually makes this extremely hard to recommend, is that you get off the train. And when you're looking for train eggs, or sometimes when you're doing missions, you have to do stealth, where some train cultists will you know, be on patrol. And this is stealth where you cannot crouch. There's no indication how visible you are. And
The
when
best kind of stealth, huh?
Yeah, and when somebody sees you, you do not have any weapons. They don't have a leash. They will follow you as far as you run. And so you either die and respawn back at the train, having lost some of your scrap, which is basically your money and also your experience. But you just got to go and, you know, start again, because very little of that is actually optional. Or you've got to run back to the train anyway and hop into the back and gun down whoever was running after you, then walk back into the mine, probably to be spotted immediately again, to run back to the train and shoot them, etc. It is incredibly clunky, and I am fucking amazed that made it through any kind of play testing.
Yeah, the weird thing is, like, they could have just added like Amnesia style closets. Like,
yes.
even if they coded it so that, like, if the monster watches you get in the closet, it'll still not know where you are, that would still be better than what they had.
Yes.
I think the part of the stream I watched was like them shooting you, but you were just taking the bullets and continuing to run away from them. And the bullets weren't doing anything either. You know, it's like very slowly reducing your health, and it's just like,
yeah, you can take 3 shells worth a shot before you go down, and your health just refills, which is merciful, right? Like, that's enough for you to maybe make it back to the train so you can gun them down. It's just incredibly tedious.
Yeah.
You know, and like the final encounter with Charles is great. You know, he gets super powered, and you know, you're just doing damage to him. It's not great. I don't know. I want to like it more than I do, which is, you know, kind of how I end up feeling about a lot of these indie horror games kind of lately, you know?
Yeah, it does have good atmosphere, like being alone on a train and like a moonlit night and stuff like that, and like controlling which direction you're going. Like, there's a tremendous sense of like isolation and dread there, which is really cool.
Yeah, and as you're like, you know, hoofing it through the hills, and you hear the distant whistle, you know, of Charles. Like, I don't know. I don't know where how universal this is, but like, grew up around a lot of trains, right? And just that is always an eerie sound. You know, I sometimes end up having to cut it out of audio here because I'm pretty close to trains where it goes. Like, it is a very haunting sound, and just like to hear the you know, off in the distance in the game, and then see like a little bit of red light in the trees, and you're like, oh no, here comes Charles. I need to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, the atmosphere is good. When Charles is coming after you, it's neat. It's just everything falls down when you get off of the train.
Yeah, the gameplay is kind of not there.
Yeah. David, you seem kind of excited when I brought it up. I know you were in the stream watching it, but
yeah, just I don't know. This was a game that I saw and was very, very much a, like, kind of like you said, you know, A- idea, but I'm like, yeah, I'm never playing that.
Oh yeah.
So I was excited to be able to watch it, that sort of thing, and like it was a lot of fun. Like, even though like I totally get it is not a good game. Well, you know,
I'm happy to be a service. I'm happy it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
You got to hold this for the multiplayer question.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, I wish that I enjoyed it more, but I'm happy it was fun to watch at the very least.
Again, this was another thing that was probably kind of lazy writing or whatever, but I enjoyed just how much all of the quest givers despise you for no real reason.
Yep. No. And it's half like, oh, this is a real fun, just kind of like backwoods weirdo kind of person, and sometimes just trying a little bit too hard, like a woman who is obsessed with pickles. And every other word is pickle, and she wants you to go get her famous pickle jar. And when you get there, there's a note that is just pickles written over and over again. Like, shows like a kind of lack of taste to me, which is like, oh, okay, so this is kind of the level we're operating on, which is weird because it hits other times in a way that would be like a total canary in a coal mine.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see here. So I've got one more thing. Which is something that I can't really talk about because it ruins the joke, but just do a Google search for Myst FPS.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun joke game on itch.io, which asks the question, what if Myst was a game about shooting demons?
And why shouldn't it be?
Yeah, and you can play it in your browser, and it takes like 5 minutes. That premise, if that premise is going to work on you, if it's going to work on you, and it needs to be like a full audio visual thing too, because the soundtrack is part of it. Yeah,
that is one of my favorite things about itch, like itch.io. Like, there's also a lot of like really cool on their you know what I mean, like, on their quality indie stuff, but there's also a lot of things where it's like, I'm really glad you made that like 15-minute like exploration of this.
Yep. It's so it's by the same person or maybe studio. They're called Woe Industries. They've done a few games that are like parody. Like, one is called Food Poisoning the Game. I haven't played that, but that seems pretty fun. The one that I played, because it was listed in the same article that I found out about Myst FPS, is Chris Pratt is Super Mario. Which is just World 1-1 of the original Super Mario, but every sound, like the original sound still plays. The original sound still plays, but it just cuts in Chris Pratt dialogue, but the same Chris Pratt dialogue for every action. So when it jumps, he goes jumping jacks, and when you pick up a coin, it says nickels, 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 nickels. It's just Chris Pratt dialogue from stuff.
I realized it's possible to love and hate something at the same time.
I also see you have not died of dysentery, which is, quote, the Oregon Trail with new dysentery mechanics.
Yeah, this rocks. It gives you the same feeling of like, I don't know, when I talked about the FF7 Power Wash Simulator, it's like, oh yeah, I am super happy the games can be weird like this. Mm-hmm. Not just that they can be weird, because sometimes a weird game sucks, but like that they can be this weird like this.
I love the Tifa dialogue in that level in particular. It's like how that becomes the new game mechanic.
Yep.
I love that Power Wash Simulator, I found out on Steam, is tagged as story rich.
Oh man, I mean, at least the Final Fantasy VII one is. You do end up getting a lot of like dialogue dialogue and fun like descriptions of your jobs in the regular one. God, I love Power Wash Simulator. That's a fun game. Oh man. But yeah, that's all that I've got. David, I want to hear from you.
Yeah, so first off, been continuing on with Call of Duty. That's, mostly just the same old, same old. So I did, though, want to mention just one of the small new features that I actually enjoy a lot.
Okay.
And that's that, in previous Call of Duty games, maybe they added this a couple back because it's actually been a bit since I've played one, but at least the old ones I know of, you spawn into the game, you just, spawn in at the start of the match. Whereas this one, you actually, like, you and your team, either, insert into the map via helicopter or, are all on a, armored personnel carrier together, or, something like that. And, you're just going in and there's, just generic, war movie, chatter over the radios, all right, check your six. Oh no, they see us. All that stuff. Like, just that sort of thing. It adds nothing actually to the gameplay. Like, basically, you get there, everyone, like, unloads and, all tactical style, and then, you just stand there and there's like a 5-second countdown, then the match starts.
Mm-hmm.
But just in terms of just kind of being fun and, setting the tone and that sort of thing, it's just, I really like it.
Yeah. Get you psyched.
Yeah, exactly. There's also, I don't know what they're how they decide how to have maps or whatever, or what maps to use for what, because normally it's 6-on-6 game modes, but this week there's rotating every week some like alternate game mode map selections, and this week it's 10-on-10 game modes.
Okay.
And there's also like a whole bunch of maps I've never seen before in that. So I don't quite get why you would make all these maps and just like not use them most of the time. But either way, there's one I actually really like. It's basically just a highway where one team starts on one end, another team starts on the other, and there's a whole bunch of like, wrecked and junked cars in between.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just like working your way down the, highway, diving behind cars and, parking barriers and, stuff like that. I don't know, it's just a lot of fun.
Are the 10x10 maps, are they like smaller and like simpler than the 6-on-6 maps, or are they bigger and more complicated?
I think bigger.
Okay. My guess was going to be like if they have more people, maybe they would do different maps because it's like more like people to keep track of or whatever on the server side, and so maybe they needed like smaller maps to take care of that. I know Rocket League like caps at 4v4 because they can't like handle any more players than that. So.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it could very well be something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's been a lot of fun. Nothing earth shattering. Call of Duty is Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been fun. Probably the more interesting thing is I started playing Wo Long on Game Pass.
Oh yeah. I played a little bit of the first level of that.
Nice. Did you make it to the boss? Or
no.
how far did you get?
I ended up having to tap out of it, not because of anything to do with the game. Just I ran out of time that day.
Sure.
For it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is game by, is it Team Ninja? Ninja Theory?
Team Ninja.
Yeah, one of the ninja related development houses.
Yeah, made Ninja Gaiden before, and did Neo. Right. Neo and Neo 2. And this is kind of a successor to Neo, but kind of being a little bit more Souls-like to a degree.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I would almost say less Souls-like in some way. So that's been one of the interesting things is there's been kind of debate onto, is this more or less Souls-like? And it seems to depend to a dramatic degree on what part of the Souls games you thought were the most important part of them. So like, if you thought bosses and parrying was important, this is much more Souls-like. If you thought that like exploration and world building and things like that, then this is much less.
So this is this is I think what I meant to say, which is more Souls-like. That was incorrect. More Sekiro-like.
Yes, much more Sekiro-like. Yeah, I mean, the very, very parry oriented.
What's the controversy around this game? Because it has like 44% on Steam right now, and it came out 10 days
the
ago.
PC version is incredibly poorly optimized.
Okay.
Yeah, and they put out a patch, and I think it made it worse. So,
yeah, like I've managed to play it well, and also with that, this is a game where like in like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, my understanding this is less the case in Sekiro, but parrying was kind of a optional mechanic, and this parrying basically is the combat mechanic.
Yeah.
And so, like, lag kind of directly undermines that.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting, though, is there's, like I said, it's much more demanding in terms of like you have to learn how to parry, but it seems like the window is much bigger than most comparable games.
Based on what I played, yeah, and also like the mechanism for parrying is different, which is like your dodge and your block are assigned to the same button, and you will just parry if you happen to do it at the right time.
Yeah, so it's so you have a separate block that will just just knock off things, but then if your parry button, if you press it once, you'll parry. If you double tap it, you'll dodge.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so and the game is the stamina system is very directly tied to this. So, attacking and successfully parrying basically gives you stamina. Getting attacked and dodging takes away stamina.
Mm-hmm.
And then one, you need, obviously, just like all the Souls games, you need stamina to attack and do stuff. But also, having high stamina basically makes your special attacks do more damage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The other thing that's big is it at least seems to me that the like what is considered the point in an attack where you're supposed to parry seems much more consistent than most of the Souls games I've played. And then also you can parry literally every attack. Which, I mean, sometimes is kind of silly. Like, you can parry fireballs. You can parry shockwaves. Like, some of the larger enemies will, hit the ground and send out a shockwave, and you can parry it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's not realistic, but it probably is good gameplay.
Does it have I feel like I remember there being, even in the short time I played, I remember there being like perilous attacks, kind of like in Sekiro, where it is very clearly signaled this is not an attack you want to try and fuck with. Like, this is get out of the way town.
So yeah, so there are those, I think they call them critical attacks. You can still parry them, and actually should, like, to a significant degree. My strategy for boss fights is basically trying to get the boss to do those attacks so that I can parry them.
Mm-hmm.
Because those just make the boss lose a massive amount of stamina. However, yes, they also one of the weird mechanics they have is you have a morale system. So as you kill non-boss enemies, you build up a morale meter.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you die, it decreases by, I think, by 1. But also if you get hit by a critical attack, it decreases by 1. And then that basically is kind of a direct power level type thing. So, if it's equal to an enemy, you do normal damage. If your morale is less than the enemies, you do less. More than the enemies, you do more.
And
so
I remember this did not seem well explained, but I have heard it explained elsewhere, which is morale is also based on how many of the bonfires you found.
Yes,
Banners or something like that. Trying to model like the momentum of a campaign or the momentum of a battle, because this is all like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, larger war kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because so the bonfires basically set a floor below which you like no matter how many times you die, you won't go below that much morale.
Yeah.
And it seems like the way it works is like if you more or less activate all of them during a map, you will then about be at even with the boss, or maybe a little bit lower as your minimum. Like you said, the other big change is the plot line, or kind of the setting. Because it's a Kole published game or whatever, it has to be set in Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Did Koei publish it?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very much a wuxia type of thing, kind of the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type thing, which the big ways I've noticed that are, one, a lot of your special abilities are just very over the top, acrobatic type of things. Similarly, I think that kind of justifies why you're able to like parry arrows and fireballs and stuff out of the air. The other thing that I actually really enjoy is the character customization. It's just it's very good, and since it's a wuxia type of setting, it's very easy to make your character very, very pretty.
Okay.
I guess this is probably most notable for if your character is a masculine character, they're probably still wearing a bunch of makeup and have long flowing hair and perfect skin and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can make your character ugly, but like that is not exactly the kind of the setting. Although I do enjoy that they put in, you can have the period appropriate blackened teeth.
Oh,
where
from,
like
cleaning
that,
with charcoal.
Yeah, exactly. So I enjoy that they put that in. They also have like a really interesting the hair system. You basically choose your character's hair and like overall hair and bangs separately. So that adds a lot of ability to like if you want like a basic top knot, but to have long flowing bangs or whatever. Similarly, there's multiple different color channels for like your character's highlights and stuff like that. Like it's a very silly but very fun character creation.
Yeah, it gets stupid specific. I was also impressed, not just the fact that they had pronouns in it was cool, but then I read about like, oh, they've got that for basically like a bunch of different use cases in every language, which was a fucking nightmare to implement.
Ooh, yeah.
The one thing of that, and this is not at all a criticism, this is more like David sucks at character creations, is normally like I was going for like an androgynous character, and normally my strategy for that is either like make a male character and use a female voice actress, so like do the like every anime protagonist thing, or like do a female character and just make them flat chested. And unfortunately neither of those actually you can do. And I don't think it not in a way that comes across as like an oversight or something like that. It's more like that was my shortcut for achieving this thing you can achieve otherwise, but it's just like a really easy way to do it was basically like make a character that basically looks female but has a different voice or vice versa.
Yeah. This forces you to get a little bit more. You got to get down into the sliders.
Right, which I did, and it was fun. But yeah, I thought that was, just kind of funny. The other thing that I kind of liked is, despite very much being a, like I said, like a Chinese kung fu type of, setting and being set in, ancient China, there are character options for, just about every ethnicity, you could think of. And this is a little hard to explain, but they all, to me, looked like that's what I would expect, like, someone of that ethnicity to look like in one of these, like, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon things.
Properly stylized.
Yeah. So, like, one of them I can give is, like, a lot of the features that to me look like more of a South Asian, like, Indian type of features, really look like they would be a character from, like, a like Bollywood, like, historical epic, type of thing, which I feel like is kind of the South Asian, equivalent of this genre.
Yeah.
So so I thought that was really cool, both that they included that and that they did it in a way that still really felt like it fit with this setting.
Yeah, just easy for people to find themselves, and when they find themselves in there, when they do, it's like, oh yeah, I fit in. Like, it's don't look out of place. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've really been enjoying it. It's good game.
How did that first boss hit you? Because I've heard people have a real problem with it.
Yeah, so I think Ruki, who's one of our listeners, he commented that the game really doesn't put its best foot forward with that boss, because you don't have a lot of resources to work with, and it's a pretty difficult boss. Like, of the first 3 bosses, that's the only one that has a second form.
Oh, ooh.
And yeah, it's one of those things, like, the game, once you figure it out, the game actually does, is much more balanced and stuff like that immediately seems. But I think it was kind of a unforced misstep to, basically force you into that so early.
Yeah.
The one good thing is one of the weapons you can get to drop in the first area fairly easily, just straight up stun locks the boss.
Oh, huh.
So, and what you can do is basically you have a, like, Guardian Spirit ability that's like your special ability that has to charge up. And basically the way the boss fight works is it's a semi-scripted boss fight, because you have to make it to the second form and then charge up that ability and use it, and then you automatically win. And the first form, you can just stun lock them. And then the second form, you can get a spell that increases the charge rate.
Okay.
And blocking one of his critical attacks is enough to completely charge it. So basically what I did for that boss is just stun locked him, then just waited for that attack, parried it, and ended the fight. It's like, I'm not saying this was the best way to do this, but it was a way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds reminiscent of Dark Souls, where it's like if you doing recon on a boss before you fight them to try and figure out a advantage. But
yeah, that's one of the weird things. And from, like, someone that's into, like, kung fu and some of this sort of stuff, I like it, but it's sort of esoteric, literally, is that their leveling system is based on leveling up the Chinese 5 elements. So it's like wood, metal, water, fire, and earth. And they're organized in a star, rock, paper, scissors, that whole thing. But, like, that's really cool from a thematic thing. The problem is, I have no idea how to identify when my opponent is using wood element attacks on me. Like fire, I get, lightning, things like that. But like metal and wood, I'm not quite sure what the what the
how to
thing
telegraph
is.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm sure there is a way, and I'll eventually, figure it out. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Neat.
Yep.
So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Wo Long.
Yep, that's my games.
Cool. Ben, round us out.
I also have 2, so 3 style times 2. I have Kirby, the Forgotten Realms. I think I talked about that 2 weeks ago. I beat that game. It is not bad, but it's not as like original and on its own as like games like Metroid Dread or Super Mario Galaxy. It kind of maintains the pattern that it has like all the way through. I think there's maybe like 4 different worlds, maybe 5 different worlds that you go through. As far as like outer worlds that each have like maybe 4 or 5 individual levels within them, something like that. The level design is probably the strongest suit of the game. Like when you're going through a world, if like you're just doing critical path, you kind of miss out on all the bonuses. But if you try and be like super detective and investigate every corner, you typically get like all but 1 or all but 2 of like the secrets that you can find. So it kind of like gives you an incentive to try and go back and find all of them on some levels. On certain levels, there's a few times where it's like a quick time event to get like a upgrade. So if you miss it, you have to like replay the entire level. Those I'm like less inclined to want to go back and try and get those on. But kind of like sprinkled throughout all the different levels, you have the mouthful mode where it's kind of like these bigger cinematic type set pieces where you either drive a car or you roll as a circular pipe or do other functions, tip over if you're a vending machine.
I love that. An actual way that people can die. Just here's Kirby, he can do it.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. So I'm kind of like 2 minds about the game. Like on the one hand, it's like there is some good like level design and stuff like that should be like respected. But like on the whole, it's maybe it's just that I'm not as tied into like the Kirby universe, or maybe I'm way older than the demographic that this game's supposed to be for.
Yeah.
It could be any number of those things of why it's not like why I'm not like deeply connected to the game or not. But it's not. I mean, it's not a bad game. It's yeah.
It's candy.
Yeah, this is like a perfect game that I would buy for my nephew, I think, for a Christmas present.
Yeah.
Because it's like he could play it, and there might be parts that are hard enough that he would hand it off to his parents, but that's kind of like where it's at.
Yeah, and there's there's like the co-op in there, so they could like directly help them. It could be like a bonding thing.
True.
Yeah.
And the progression system's not bad. How basically a lot of the weapons that you have basically have 3 tiers is what it ends up being. That each get like progressively stronger and replace the previous one. So like an example is like there's like a spinning like gust attack or whatever, similar to like a Pidgey attack or whatever, that you get at first, and then that evolves into something in the middle stage, which I forget what it is, but then it's like a full-fledged like tornado as the 3rd tier. That's like a much more higher damage and kind of much like bigger area of effect. Yeah, and there's like a little home base that you have that like as you complete the game, like more buildings will pop up that have like these cute functions to it. So I don't know, there's cute things going on in it. It's your mileage may vary, but it's it's like a B game. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I think unless there's any questions about it.
No. I mean, it sounds, your reaction sounds appropriate, especially the, I'm either not young enough when I'm playing it now, or I didn't play a Kirby game when I was young enough to have positive associations with this.
Yeah. And I do really think part of it is it's a different demographic, because like Metroid Dread, for example, like that was another one where it's like I haven't really played a lot of the old Metroid games, so I didn't have any like nostalgia going into it, but that was like a very unique gaming experience for me, even though I know a lot of it's like inherited from the retro games. And it was just like spiky enough in the sense of it was doing its own thing. It wasn't it didn't feel like it was copying other games in what I was doing. So that has some invisible component that this one did not, I think. But anyway, the second game I have is a real weird one. It's a game that came out in 2022. I saw it mentioned in a game article, and so I decided to pick it up. It is called Betrayal at Club Low.
Oh, Disco Elysium-like. A very low-stakes Disco Elysium-like.
That sounds like the opposite of Disco Elysium.
Kind of. It's hard to compare this game to anything else because it is very, very bizarre. It is a short game, but it has pretty clean game design to it. I was going to kind of just go into detail about it. So this is made by, I think, a single game designer named Cosmo D. At least they seem to have a very defined style and be very unique. They've made a couple other games before this one. The premise is kind of like off the wall. You are this alien-like figure in this weird alien-like metropolis city, kind of. And your job is you're trying to infiltrate Club Low, and you have to find a person who's in there and get them out of there. And that's like the basic premise of the game. You were disguised as a pizza man, and it's a RPG where you have 6 characteristics or 6 traits, and anytime you come into any sort of conversation, you basically roll die and do a skill check against something. The traits. Okay,
that's what I mean when I say it's like a Disco Elysium like. Yeah, is just it is modeling tabletop, and interactions are kind of settled by either dice challenges. Well, I guess that's just the word, by dice challenges.
Yeah, which are influenced by whatever trait you have.
Yes.
The way they handle it's interesting, though. Instead of it being like you have an attribute number for like strength or dexterity or anything like that, you basically have a die for each one of your traits. So the type of traits you have are, let me see if I can remember them. There's like deception. There's cooking is one of them. Music is one of them. Physique, like fighting, is one of them. And there's a couple other, like observation, and maybe one other one that I can't remember off the top of my head. So for each one of these attributes, you have a die, a 6-sided die. And at the start of the game, they're all 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2 is what each of the attributes are. You gain money by successfully passing any sort of check, and then you spend that money to upgrade your die, and you choose which trait you want to upgrade, or which die of which trait you want to upgrade. And you can either upgrade like a single face of it, or you can upgrade all of them by a single point. The money works out the same, so you don't have to you don't get a bargain by doing all at once or anything. And so there's this really interesting game mechanic that emerges. The way it works is you might have like modifiers and other die that you're rolling in addition to whatever your attribute die is, but the main one's your attribute die. And you get 2 rerolls. So you roll all your die, you can reroll all of them, up to all of them if you want, and you get 2 of them. So it's an interesting math problem, which is probably why it kind of hooked onto me a little bit, is what's the optimal way to upgrade your die, given that you have 2 rerolls to like pass checks. So I kind of opted for the strategy where I just like upgraded half of every die and just ignored the other half, and was fine with having like 0 or 1s there. With like the assumption that I think it's like a 7 out of 8 chance that you'll get the upgraded numbers. So going with that, but there's a lot of interesting mechanics that go on top of this, where if you directly like meet the number that you're rolling up against, you do beat it. So it's the same thing as D&D rolls. If you meet, you beat. But in this one, if you meet it exactly, you'll get some sort of attribute on top of you, which means like you'll get like sleepy or like dazed or bored or something like that. And what that modifier is an additional die that you'll roll. And if it's a negative attribute like dazed or sleepy or something like that, it'll have values like -1 or -2 on certain sides of it, so which will modify your die roll down. Or it'll have modifiers on it that'll like take away your health or what your like mentality is. I forget what the attribute is, but it's similar to Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
Like you have mental hit points and you have physical hit points.
Right.
If either one of those drop to 0, then you lose instantly. So what this is like you get this really interesting snowball effect where, say you crush a check and you beat it by like 2 or more points, you might get a positive modifier where you're like, okay, I'm really confident now. And then you get a bonus die that adds like 1 or 2 points. These like modifiers will only last for like the next check. Like after you roll them once, they'll add their modification and then they'll be gone.
Right.
So basically how the gameplay shakes out is you're not committed to rolling like once you see what the checks are, so you can always back out at any time. Mm-hmm. So the way the gameplay kind of shakes out is you kind of survey the entire environment, see what all the checks are, and then you kind of figure out an order in which to upgrade your die so that you're passing checks successfully enough that you're not getting negative modifiers and then moving on to the next one. In addition to this, there's random pizza ovens throughout the map that of the game world, and the pizza ovens you're making pizzas, which is you're crafting pizza die, which just have random like cash awards.
Tell me, are the pepperoni the pips?
It's not as straightforward as that. That would make sense. This game does not make sense. It says it's like, oh, you found like 3 mozzarella, and that just happens to be like, if you roll it, you get $1 or something on your pizza die. But each oven that you find gives you an additional pizza die, which are basically like kind of independent of what you're doing in the conflict. They just give you money, or sometimes they can modify like what's going on with the die challenge. But it's a way over time where by the end of the game, you have really strong pizza die, so you're getting like $20 or $30 instead of like 1 or 2 at the beginning of the game. And so then that money goes back into upgrading your attributes. This sounds really weird because the game is really weird. Like when you're done talking to people and they're like leave, they'll just have rocket boots and they fly out the ceiling and the building shakes. Like that's like the level that you're operating on. It's very weird, but it's stylish. The music is very, very good. There's an option of just buying the soundtrack by itself, and this is like a $10 game. So that should speak to like the strength of the soundtrack. You can also like listen to it on YouTube, but it's very good and it's well integrated into the game. It is like maybe a 2 or 3 hour experience playing through, so it is a very short experience. But the way you like progress and the way you level up your die and handle all the challenges throughout the map is very like cleanly done. It's like very well balanced. I was really impressed by that. There's like you're constantly at a point where there's not a lot of breathing room. Like like every die roll is kind of down to the wire, and there's definitely times where you fail and it sucks, and you have to kind of work around it and see how you can recover from that. The game does have a bunch of different endings. I think they have like maybe 9 different endings to it, even though it's like, pretty compact game. I think I've seen 2 or 3 of them. So I've played through like all the way through 2 times, like end to end. And that kind of speaks to maybe one of the downsides of the game is it's not very replayable. You're basically playing the same game twice if you do it. There's not like even though there's differences in like how you can approach like what trait you try and attack something with, a lot of times it shakes out the same way. So like there's a lot of the gates are always the same attribute that you need to roll against it. So you kind of get in this situation where you have to upgrade certain attributes. You can't. It's not as like asymmetric as like I'm only going to upgrade my strength and like do a run of doing that. It's not like Dark Souls, I guess, where it's like you can kind of pick individual things like that builds. But that said, the first run through of it is pretty fun. So this is definitely a game I would recommend for people like to wishlist, and if it like drops to like $5, like snatch it up. $10 for a 2 hour experience. Like I'll let people decide if they want to do that or not. This is by no means like the game of the year of 2022 or anything like that. But I would definitely say that's like in the top 10 experiences that I would have. So it's not like it's not crazy low or anything like that. But
that's just club low.
Just club low, yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
No, this game had been on my radar a little bit, just primarily from screenshots. On Twitter and such. I'm glad to hear that it passes the Ben test.
It is a very goofy game that has a pretty good game mechanic behind it. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Betrayal at Club Low. I feel like any questions that I would ask would spoil things that basically I'm sold on it, and I don't want to learn more specifics.
Fair.
Yeah.
Hopefully I did not give too many specifics outside of saying it's just real weird. So
yeah. No, I think the mechanical interest is kind of what I was curious about, because you hear this stuff is based on die rolls, but that is that could be any number of that could go any number of ways.
This is a very streamable game, I would say.
Okay.
So
do it.
Yeah.
It's a horror game for sure. For sure.
Oh man. Nice.
I mean, can you put pineapple on the pizza? That would make it a horror game.
I think so. There is like a funky fruit that
It'd make the chat section a horror game. Even a chat as good as mine would end up just devouring itself. Oh.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and you answer. Dennis was the one who posted the question, but since he's not here, I hope he's feeling better. It's only been an hour. I doubt he's feeling better, but knock on wood. But the question that he asked the nice people was, the era of streaming, memeing, and general capital D discourse has broadened how people interact with games. What game have you enjoyed the most watching, reading, discussing, without ever actually having played it? Yeah. And I'll get us started here with Peter, who says, for a long time, my answer was Dark Souls and any games in the Souls series. However, since I've actually been playing the Souls games as of 5 years ago, thank you, Gary and Kole, for Bonfireside Chat and those earlier episodes. You guys were the reason for me actually playing those games. My current answer is Triangle Strategy / Fire Emblem, Three Houses, Engage, Echoes, etc. I love a good tactic style RPG and reading about people's experiences in said games, but I've not actually played any of those games myself. I'm sure Jala would be happy to hear this, because she's been on the Fire Emblem beat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and those are big investments too. So I don't know. I'm generally down for reading about people's weird Final Fantasy Tactics runs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm due for a replay on that. Man, Final Fantasy Tactics is good. Anyway, good answer. Let's see, David, what does Eli say?
Eli says, I don't much care about point-and-click adventure. I don't think I've ever made it through one without just looking up what to do at some point. And that kind of defeats the purpose of playing that genre. But oh, do I love watching somebody else play them. The only long-form playthroughs I tend to watch / rewatch are often point-and-click adventures.
Well, so many of them turn into good cartoons that way, if somebody knows what they're doing.
See, my thing with this, if someone doesn't know what they're doing, it's just the opposite. Like,
it's a fucking nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, I am super butt clenchy.
Yeah, no, and I know exactly what you mean. And that's why I get super self-conscious, because horror games intersect with adventure games quite often. Mm-hmm. And like I get stuck and I'm like, oh God, somebody out there is dying. I've killed somebody. Ben, what does Jeremy say?
Jeremy says, is it bad to say that besides actually watching one or two review about a game, just to have a general idea about the game is the only thing I would generally check? Because I usually don't watch game, I won't be able to play, and because I want to go in blind as much as possible when I play it. Beside all of that, Vadavida is our mentor.
Vatividya is a Souls lore YouTuber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think it's bad to say. Yeah. No, just get a general idea and see if you're in or out. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and enjoy games however you'd like to,
Yeah. Greg says, I'd say the Dark Souls games. I've been unable to get far in the games because I suck, but it's fun seeing those play who have the skills to do well in it. Yeah. No, I would understand why Souls as a popular response here.
Yeah.
David, what does Ollie say?
Ollie says, I was back in the early 10s, a big Achievement Hunter fan. They had long-running series that went 400 episodes plus of GTA 4, or rather 5, sorry, and Minecraft. But I'd never played either of those games, but watched Achievement Hunter videos for close to, at least 700 hours of the two every Monday and Friday for around 8 years. The picture Dennis posted, skydiving through the hole in the billboard in GTA 5, was actually featured in one of the episodes too. Tales from the Internet Part 2.
I don't like that graphic that Dennis posted.
Why don't you like it?
I don't know. It just like in the world of GTA, you can just like look at it and say, like, that's a very Grand Theft Auto thing. Just taken out of context, a big sign that says liquor hole.
With a hole in it.
Yeah, with the guy like skydiving toward it is I don't it's not that I have distaste for the act itself, it's just it seems crass. Seems like it's a crass image.
Would you rather be remastered and be a hexagon?
I don't understand why remastered. That'd be a demake. It would be a demake. Yeah,
that was the GTA San Andreas was the one where they did a remaster, and so the donut became like a hexagon.
Oh no!
I think it was that, or it was the other way around. The nut became a donut. One of those things happened that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, because they used all kind of like weird AI scaling and stuff.
Yeah,
what a disaster. Man, there's probably it's hard to say because like I'll end up just poking around on TV tropes and reading about a lot of random stuff mostly. So it's hard to like say like, oh yeah, there's any one where I've spent a lot of time doing it. And I don't really watch an awful lot of video game content creators. I don't know, Busman's Holiday kind of deal. My entire existence is a fucking Busman's Holiday. However, like back in the day, I can say 100% that reading stories about EVE Online fuckery was way more fun than ever participating in it would be. You know? Just stories of
I can believe that.
Scamming and all of that. Like just interesting. Like when people who were good at writing and storytelling put that together and sanded away all of the tedium around it, you got into a lot of like real good like prankster shit, and that was neat.
So if you ever want the wholesome version of this, there's a lot of that for like I think it's the junk rats or fuel rats in Elite Dangerous are basically people whose entire thing is helping people who have like run out of fuel in the middle of nowhere in the galaxy. And they're basically like, these people have become like special forces, style, like operators of like, no matter where you are, like if you run out of fuel, like they will find you and rescue you.
It's what if Delta Force was AAA?
Yeah, it's like exactly, a very intimidating AAA. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so some of those stories, I mean, just got pretty great.
Nice. Yeah, no, I didn't know about that. That's great. Go ahead, David.
So I think for me, there's two I'm gonna highlight. The one in terms of like game I actually care a great deal about, despite not having actually played it, is the original Life is Strange.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. At least for me, like all the story beats and stuff like that, landed pretty effectively. Despite not having actually been the person making the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one of the most interesting streaming like dynamics I've ever seen. One of the people streaming it or kind of co-hosting or whatever had played it before, and then the person actually controlling the game had not. So
yeah.
the dynamics, particularly of like where the thing where you go back in time and like end up euthanizing Sam. Like one player knows that they're about to like the game's about to undo that, and one player doesn't.
Ooh.
And that was a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
So more kind of just like normal day to day. I really like this streamer Quill18 that does a ton of grand strategy stuff, and
nice.
I am rubbish at those games, but I find they're just like the optimal level of like super relaxing. Just have someone play this like very non-twitchy game and explain to me like what they're doing.
I could see that.
That sounds nice, because otherwise those games are not playable for me, at least.
I've made a few different runs at them and have been rebuffed. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. On the Life is Strange tip, have you read the comics, like the graphic novels?
No, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, Titan did some, and they're real good. I just got a box set of them, and I read the first few like issues of the, I don't know, volume 1 or whatever. Picks up in the it picks up in the after the Save the Town ending.
Okay, sure.
With Max and Chloe.
I'm gonna have to check that, because so my part of my like weirdly care about this is I'm very mixed on that ending. I don't have a problem with it being kind of a downer ending. It bothers me that it arguably kind of resets everything that happens up to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, either way, like, yeah, no, I'll definitely check those out. That sounds very cool.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Well, time to give you some compliments, Kole, because I'll say watching you play very frustrating games saves me from having to do it. So I really appreciate that and all that you've done throughout the years.
Oh, okay.
I think the one I'm thinking of in particular is the one where it's like a Japanese horror game where you're in a school and someone like screams at you the entire time.
White Day, where the whistling janitor is coming after you.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But man, watching someone else play it and not having to play that myself, thumbs up.
Yeah. Nothing else like somebody else taking the bullet, huh?
Yeah.
That's a shame. I don't know. I wonder if there's like a mod for that game, because there's a whole other scenario that I have not really even like broached with it. And like I really dig the story in White Day. It's just bullshit mechanics. Yeah. No. Well, I'm happy to be of service.
Next time you hit a rage-inducing moment in a game, just remember that you're saving like 20 other people from having to do that. So
cool. It's nice to know it all has a purpose.
Yeah.
It a little bit reminds me of one of our listeners, Moonborn, does a lot of the like platinum games. And it's funny watching him, because he's like, you'll be watching a stream, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not really good at this. I only got like 18 out of 20 perfect parries.
Better you than me, Moon.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not to bring up bad memories, but I'm trying to think. There was one moment where you like rage quit a stream, like in recent history, in the last like 2 months or something. I can't remember what it was, but I remember it was a game I had. Oh, good.
Was it Dead Space or?
I don't think it was that one. It was a game I know I had played it before, and something bad happened. And I was like, "Ooh, man, that's rough." I'm hoping he like sticks with it or whatever. And you started the next day and like got past it or whatever. But I just remember it being a rough ending to a stream.
I thought you were going to. What was the one where it's like ancient Japan and like your sister's a ghost or something, and just all the physics puzzles were awful.
Oh yeah, man, I forget the name of that. It was like IS something.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, there was nothing but bad jump scares. Yeah,
I thought you were just in that one also, like a bunch of the puzzles were just
Oh yeah, non-deterministic physics.
Yeah.
While enemies are coming after you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No big deal. I'm not mad. You're mad. It's gonna kill me. What game was that? Going through Steam here. Ikai. Yes.
Yeah.
Ikai was the name of that one. Oh gosh. Nice. Well, thanks, Dennis, for posting that. And thanks everybody for responding. If you would like to participate in these, go to Facebook and look up the Duckfeed community and join that and watch the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. Oh, heads up, no episode next week. Taking the week off for recording. So,
all right.
Yeah, no episode next week. So watch for it after that.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games. Ben, you got a 1-2 punch for us.
Yeah. Games are getting delayed for some legitimate reasons and some unknown reasons. So the first one, Suicide Squad, originally was supposed to come out, I think, in May. It got delayed to an undetermined time, but sometime in 2023. This news also, it was announced by Warner Brothers, but it wasn't confirmed by Rocksteady itself. So that detail is a little bit weird. And so there wasn't really a message given strictly of why. But a lot of people are speculating about it because this comes like after maybe, within a month ago is when they released the gameplay trailer at the PlayStation Direct. That kind of had a lot of blowback of people just being like really meh about the game.
Oh, yeah.
But even a 6-month delay, you're not going to be able to like rehaul gameplay mechanics. So
it's so basic. Like the problems that people were talking about and the stuff that looks bad about that, they're fundamental.
Yeah, well, exactly.
It was also, at least a lot of the rhetoric I've heard is that there's a lot of pushback on it being a live service game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's part and parcel, like Destiny, but certain items give you 0.23% extra damage against Batman-infused enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, I do love the idea of Batman-infused enemies.
Oh, it's wonderful. Give me a... No percentage in a game should be smaller than 5%. When I'm king of the world, that is what it is. If it can't be determined on a D20, then fuck you.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I mentioned this in Slack, but this game is becoming more and more like The Last Guardian for me, where it's like taking forever to come out, and it's just going to be kind of a ho-hum game, and whatever.
I feel bad. You're such a Rocksteady booster, and just to have this just peter out like that, seemingly peter out. We have no idea what their plan is, or But.
Yeah, but admittedly, it's like the 3 games that they made were all on the same engine, so it's like they had a good start, and they kept with it. But yeah, since this is like a brand new thing, things must have changed, I guess, since then. So
yeah.
Did you ever play the Shadow of War games?
I've played one of them, the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, I own the second one, but I haven't played it. It's on my Steam. So.
Second one's one of my favorite games. You might try check that out if you ever have the hankering for more Arkham style combat, but that's neither there.
Even the first one is really good. Yeah.
Is the first one the one that had the Nemesis system?
Oh yeah, I think you played this. You played this back in the day. Yeah, that was the Nemesis system one. Yeah.
And then they never used it again.
The second one has that system.
It's even better too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then sweet.
Yeah, the second one really doubles down on like raising your army and like recruiting them and stuff. So, anyways, that's neither here nor there.
And that ended up being the coolest part of the first one was the army raising stuff.
Yeah. Back to the delays. Don't delay my story about delays.
Just like talking to you guys. Come on.
The second game that was hit with a delay in the last week is Starfield, which is the game coming out from Bethesda that one of my friends worked on, and they're scrubbing his names because they laid him off, which is bullshit.
Fuck that company. Bullshit.
But anyway, the game actually looks kind of cool, so we know mixed feelings. But this got delayed into September, and this is kind of like has more definitivity around why it's being delayed and like what's going to happen with it. What's the one dude's name? Todd. What's his name?
Todd Howard. Yeah.
Yeah. He was talking about how it's like basically gave the pitch that most games do, where it's like, oh, it needs a little bit of polish. We're in the final stages. Don't want to release a bad game. Want to release a good game. That's sort of rationale for why they're delaying it, which is fine. But the two things I talked about is one, in June they're going to give like a more fleshed out demonstration of the game. So I don't know if it's going to be like a playable demo or what. But they're going to basically reveal more of the game at that point, and then the game itself will come out in September.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the initial date for when this was. I think it was originally supposed to come out last year in like November.
Yeah. Pandemic times. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been pushed back a couple times since then. So
I've got to say, this is a horrible name for the game unless this is a sci-fi Harvest Moon game.
I don't know. Could be cool. I know nothing about it, and I'm also kind of keeping dark on it.
So my understanding is that game came up in the whole thing over was it Microsoft and Activision trying to merge or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because like what apparently when they merge with Bethesda, they're like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna keep making games for all the systems, and then it's not coming out on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, we'll totally make Call of Duty for everyone.
Yeah. well, and that's even, I don't know. Just because Sony's opposing the merger doesn't mean they're good. A pox in all their houses. No one is without sin. David, what are you blowing my mind with here?
Yeah, so there's people with, this is under the category of people with very weird hobbies that I am super glad there's someone that's into this.
Oh, yeah.
This is someone who found that the same texture of a brick wall, cobble underscore stone, shows up in most of the, in the 64 era Super Mario games, Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, Donkey Kong, a couple of others, just the same texture of a wall over and over again.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII as well, and everybody's favorite game, Druber. Under and over. It's not in the game; it's on the box art. Yeah,
and I think some of what makes this even weirder is these are games with very different graphical styles.
Mm-hmm.
From cartoony to relative. Final Fantasy is at least photorealistic for the era.
Yeah.
So it's, one of those can't be unseen things. The other thing is they actually managed to track down where it came from. Apparently it was originally included in Alias 3, which is a high-end, 3D graphics, suite, that was purchased and put out by Silicon Graphics.
Oh yeah,
which was apparently used for all these games. So it was basically a stock texture. So Mario 64 officially an asset flip game.
Man, it's like specifically the blurry version of this. Like looking at all the screenshots, oh yeah, that is very specifically what the N64 was. Everything on the N64 was this texture.
I think definitively the castle in Mario 64, the stone siding of it uses this, and it's like, yep, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, good on this Reddit user, this is Git Render96, which is a great username for somebody who did this, for digging this up. Well, them and their community. There's a whole bunch of wiki contributors as well. This rules. I dig it. I've got one which is related to one of my grind entries here. Resident Evil 4 is getting a day one patch to tone down the rain a little bit.
So it's not going to be heavy rain.
No, Jason is not going to be there. Yeah. So one of the recent gameplay videos that they showed, specifically as of a sequence of Leon and Ashley fleeing the church after the turn to nighttime, featured a very, very aggressive rain effect. And people were pretty bummed about it, including me. It was incredibly overbearing. Like, it looked realistic, but also, boy, it's hard to see stuff. So Capcom has listened to the complaint, and they're going to be kind of toning it down so that it is less opinionated rain from a design standpoint, less overstated. So that is good news that a developer is listening to what I deem to be good feedback from the start. And again, always speaks to, you want to celebrate when the current flexibility of the medium can be used to improve a product.
It seems like a diminished... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really hope they leave in some sort of Easter egg, like, I don't know, if you shoot the statue of the rain deity or whatever, it like restores the original version.
Cursed with original rain. Yeah.
It seems like a diminished win for gamers, though. They got to change the entire appearance of Sonic, but now only an effect in Resident Evil 4.
I mean, the rain is much bigger than Sonic. Yeah. Think about that one.
It's not faster, though.
True. It only moves at gravity. It's got a terminal velocity and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's it was really the only story that I found. Also, there is a bundle of Goosebumps books on Humble right now.
Nice.
Yeah, 30 Goosebumps books and Booscumps books. Sorry, I mispronounced that. 30 of those books from my childhood, and it is real cool. I am going to slap some of those EPUBs on my Kindle and probably read a couple of pages and then put them down because they're written for children. But
yeah.
What is R. Stein up to now?
Oh, probably being real retired.
Revising Goosebump books, apparently.
Oh, yeah, there is that story. Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. I just really hope he hasn't, like, milkshake ducked, right?
I've got... The less I know about R.L. Stein, the better.
Wait, what's milkshake ducked?
Oh, it's a famous tweet. It goes like, everybody loves Milkshake Duck, the duck who drinks milkshakes. And then it says, reporter presses finger to ear. I'm sorry to report that Milkshake Duck is racist.
So it's basically become like when a widely loved public figure, like something awful about them. So basically J.K. Rowling.
Just it's revealed like even just like something from their past. Like it's actually kind of fucked up that this is so the original Milkshake Duck tweet was written about. Do you remember back in the 2016 election cycle, the debate where Ken Bone asked a question? Yeah. Ken Bone, portly bald fella in a red sweater, asked a question about unity or whatever. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, this is a great guy. He's super goofy looking," and asked a wholesome question. Blah blah blah. People dug up his Reddit history, and he got like semi-canceled. Maybe there was worse stuff, but like the most the kind of the one that sticks out that most people talked about was he was trawling a pregnancy porn fetish Reddit. And commenting on the folks, which is like, as far as fetish stuff goes, is probably not the thing that's you want to keep your powder dry. You know, it's kind of ridiculous to cancel somebody for liking that, to my mind. You know, but it's embarrassing on his part. I wouldn't want that found out.
You should have an alt account, probably, is your best bet if you're committing to commenting on subreddits like that.
If you're committing to commenting, the anonymous mode is not going to protect you. Proton Mail, get your OPSEC on point, everybody, for fuck's sake. But yeah, it's so that's what the original Milkshake Duck tweet was about, was people finding out that maybe he's just
Ken Bone was not his original name. It was the name he chose, apparently. Yeah.
There was probably worse stuff, but it's the pregnancy porn stuff that I remember. Anyway, we gotten far afield, so I think that we should call it a night. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
I mean, where do you go from pregnancy porn?
Thanks so much, everybody, for listening to level number 451. It's not going to be the last episode before the Midwest Gaming Classic, but it's the last episode where you could feasibly make plans to come out and see us. Gary and I are going to be in Milwaukee for the Midwest Gaming Classic. We're going to be doing a panel along with Bob Mackey of Retronauts, talking about 7 out of 10 games. That's right. Every game that you can think of, if you can think of 10 of them, we're going to talk about 7 of them. No, we're talking about games that are that are a 7 out of 10. What that means, what it is like to enjoy an imperfect game, and all of the different ways that can articulate, including talking about some of our favorite 7 out of 10 games and asking the audience about theirs. So come and see us, watch the social media for details about meetups and things like that. Otherwise, you can support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You can participate in the multiplayer by going to the Duckfeed community on Facebook and rate, review, like us, subscribe us, do all of the social media stuff. Is there anything I'm forgetting? Okay. I have been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I'm David Mysmith. You can find me at MoneySmith777 on Twitter. See all 2 of my tweets so far.
Ooh. And I've been Ben Merkel, and you can find me posting my 7 out of 10 games on the backstage of our chat.
Yeah.
To get evaluated by Kole and then roasted, because apparently there's some controversial ones on here.
Oh, okay.
I have Celeste there for some reason. It's like, that should be an 8 out of 10, probably.
Do you keep a spreadsheet of your?
I did at one point in time for a segment of my life. So yeah,
nice. Well, I'm not going to roast you. It's personal
okay.
ratings. Personal ratings are fine.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, I don't even know if I agree with them. So,
and stick around for some titles. All right, I have 2. I have Valences of Hectic.
That's pretty good.
And I have Down in the Sliders, which I like that one quite a bit.
That's pretty good. So this first one, I think it's too long, but that would make sense. This game does not make sense.
It's 2 sentences.
I have you've got really strong pizza die. This one's a little bit of an interpretation, but D20 or fuck you.
I like that.
And Cursed with Original Rain.
Oh man, good ones there. Ben, what you got?
I have Get Down in the Sliders, but I like Down in the Sliders better. And the other one I have is Butt Clenchy, which I really like that one.
I think that I'm going to do a moratorium on horny titles. So anything with butt in there,
you can't keep them out forever. Cool.
I know I can't keep them out forever, but you got to.
Eventually, we will escape horny jail.
Someone's got to be up on that wall, and for right now, it's going to be me. So I like Down in the Sliders, and that has votes.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
We good with that one?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is decided.
Hey, randomly, have you seen Phantom Brigade?
Game looks awesome. Heard about it on Waypoint Radio.
I was going to say, it seems to me like it might be a game that's up your alley.
Yeah, no, it looks rad as hell. I'm very curious about it. Yeah.
Sweet.
In fact, I think I might have bought it while it was still on an intro discount. Yeah. No, but yeah, good looking out. Okay, it is decided.